Get ready for breaking news. The International Committee of the Red Cross head of mission in South Korea, David Kwesny, has spoken out on the dangerous disregard for international norms, highlighting that the International Committee of the Red Cross Korea opened a special exhibition called Wars Have Limits to mark the 60th anniversary of South Korea's accession to the Geneva Conventions and to expose the growing violations in conflicts across the globe. Ties with Mongolia's Khan-Uul district, discussing how shared cultural assets like the Nadam Festival and educational investment can boost the competitiveness of both cities. Stay with us for the full story. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, has issued a strong warning regarding the growing disregard for international humanitarian law in current conflicts, emphasizing the critical need to uphold protections for prisoners of war and adhere to the Geneva Conventions. David Kwesny, the ICRC head of mission in South Korea, stated in an interview with channel YouTube that disclosing the identity of prisoners of war, POWs, jeopardizes their safety, and that they must be protected from public curiosity, a principle applicable in all international armed conflicts. Kwesny highlighted a case involving 2 North Korean soldiers held as POWs in Ukraine, noting that identifying them could endanger them or their families. He stressed that international humanitarian law, IHL, recognizes that POWs are in a vulnerable environment where their ability to make fully informed decisions may be limited due to trauma and isolation. He noted reports that these soldiers wish to go to South Korea rather than return home due to fears of severe punishment. Marking the 60th anniversary of South Korea's accession to the Geneva Conventions, the ICRC Korea recently held a special exhibition titled Wars Have Limits, which underscored what Kwesny described as the blatant disregard for international norms across contemporary conflicts. The organization cited a rise in armed conflicts to around 130 in 2024, with many lasting over 2 decades, leading to generational experiences defined by war. Kwesny pointed to widespread violations in major conflicts globally, including those in Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, urging a return to established agreements. Furthermore, the ICRC warned about the global humanitarian consequences of recent attacks on cargo vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, which disrupt supply chains for essential goods like food, fuel, and medicine, severely impacting relief efforts. As a main player in the international arena, Kwesny expressed hope for deeper cooperation with South Korea on issues ranging from artificial intelligence in warfare to broader humanitarian crises. He specifically urged Seoul to join the ICRC's IHL initiative, launched in 2024, aimed at reasserting political commitment to the rules of war and reversing violations. The ICRC confirmed that its engagement with South Korea remains active and constructive. The Reform Party has released details regarding the court ruling in a drunken assault case involving Young Won-ho, the Democratic Party's candidate for Seoul mayor. The party alleges that while Jung publicly attributed his involvement in the altercation to the May 18 Gwangju democratization movement, he argued diminished mental capacity during his trial, claiming memory loss due to excessive alcohol consumption. Kim Yong-chol, the Reform Party's candidate for Seoul mayor, addressed the press at the National Assembly on the 19th, questioning the discrepancy between Jung's public statements and his court testimony. Kim asserted that there is a societal consensus against reducing responsibility for violence based solely on intoxication. He criticized the Democratic Party for putting a candidate with such a history forward, questioning the appropriateness of a Seoul mayor resorting to violence and then seeking leniency based on alcohol consumption. Furthermore, Kim pointed to the absence of discretionary mitigation in Jung's ruling. Discretionary mitigation involves the court considering factors such as remorse, settlement with the victim, and apologies when determining a sentence. Kim argued that because Jung showed no genuine remorse, no settlement, and no apology during the trial, the ruling correctly reflected the lack of circumstances worthy of serious consideration by the judge. Kim concluded his remarks by stating that Jung's explanations were revealing contradictions, and that the public deserves an honest explanation based on the court's verdict rather than excuses. The director of the hospital that supplied propofol to the driver involved in a recent crash on the Banpo Bridge has been handed over to the prosecution. Yongsan Police Station in Seoul announced on the 19th that a man in his 40s, identified as a plastic surgeon based in Seoul, was taken into custody on the 15th on charges of violating the Narcotics Control Act. The allegations against the surgeon stem from accusations of drug misuse since last August, including administering propofol beyond necessary amounts to approximately 10 patients, or administering it when anesthesia was not required. He is also accused of neglecting the management and supervision of drugs within the hospital. The hospital has been linked to the incident, as it is known that a former nursing assistant who provided propofol to a Porsche driver worked there. Police conducted a search and seizure of the hospital in March and have since expanded their investigation by securing prescriptions and data related to drug return and entry. The driver who caused the accident has been charged with violating the Narcotics Control Act, drug driving, and dangerous driving under the Road Traffic Act. Additionally, a former nursing assistant was indicted in March and April on charges of violating the Narcotics Control Act. A police official stated that the investigation is primarily complete. Seoul Councillor Aesulu is actively pursuing enhanced cultural and educational cooperation between Seoul and Khan-Uul, an emerging district in Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar. The initiative follows recent discussions held during a visit by a delegation from the Khan-Uul District Council to the Seoul Metropolitan Council. During these talks, Councillor Aesulu engaged with the delegation to explore avenues for collaboration in culture and education, alongside strategies to revitalize local diplomacy. The Khan-Uul district, spanning 503 square kilometers, is experiencing rapid growth, characterized by new residential developments, an airport, and industrial facilities. The discussions covered a broad spectrum, including developing cultural and tourism content, sharing insights on education policy, multicultural coexistence strategies, youth and regional exchanges, and strengthening cooperation between local governments. Emphasizing the bilateral relationship, Councillor Aesulu highlighted the historical friendship between Korea and Mongolia, asserting that cultural diversity serves as a competitive strength for urban growth. She specifically pointed to the Nadam Festival as a globally competitive cultural asset, suggesting that developing unique elements, such as traditional equestrian performances, could position the region for world-class tourism and cultural resources, thereby significantly boosting the city's brand value. On the educational front, Aesulu underscored the importance of investment in future generations, noting that Korea's success is rooted in its educational system. She stressed that active investment in both education and culture is crucial for enhancing a city's competitiveness. The Mongolian delegation expressed gratitude for Councillor Aesulu's dedication, stating that they are keen to learn from Korea's cultural policies and urban management experiences. The visit was also intended to facilitate an exchange of ideas in the fields of culture and education. Aesulu confirmed plans to continue vigorous efforts within the Seoul Metropolitan Council's Culture, Sports and Tourism Committee to broaden friendly cooperation and cultural exchanges with other Asian nations.